This is the story of a young girl who goes on a trip with her mother and her mother's boyfriend to a deserted island in the middle of the ocean. What was supposed to be a fun and relaxing vacation turns into a nightmare when she discovers a terrifying truth about her mother's boyfriend. And from that moment on, this trip becomes a fight for survival. At the beginning of the story, we see Rose's mother, Alma, returning home from work. Rose comes up behind her and wishes her a happy birthday, which is the next day. Alma then tells Rose to finish packing because they are leaving the following morning for a trip with Alma's boyfriend. The next morning, Rose returns home after finishing her work and finds Alma completely ready to leave, standing outside with her luggage. Rose is not excited about this trip at all, but for the sake of her mother's happiness, she reluctantly agrees to go. While traveling, Rose asks her mother questions about her boyfriend. Alma admits that she hasn't known him for very long, but says she is sure he is a good man. Rose is surprised that her mother can trust someone she barely knows so quickly. After some time, they finally reach their destination, where Alma meets her boyfriend Derek. Derek shows them the route on a map and explains that they will be sailing very close to the Bermuda Triangle. He tells them that they should reach the island by Tuesday and that they are going to have an amazing time there. This is the first time Rose really gets to know Derek. He tells them that he bought a second-hand boat specifically for this trip and named it Annalisa. The three of them board the boat and begin their journey across the ocean. After sailing for a while, they celebrate Alma's birthday on the boat. Everyone is laughing, smiling, and enjoying the moment together. Derek gives Alma a t-shirt as a gift and gives Rose a knife. Later, Rose asks Derek about his job. He tells her that he used to work as a police officer, but now he works as a private security consultant. Once the celebration is over, they all come out of the cabin. Derek starts teaching Rose how to steer the boat, while Alma takes photos and videos of them with her phone. But suddenly, Alma hits the main sail and falls straight into the water. Derek immediately throws a life jacket toward her and sends Rose inside to quickly bring the first aid kit and a blanket. As Rose rushes into the cabin, she notices a gun hidden inside a cabinet. The sight shocks her, but she still grabs the blanket and first aid kit and runs back outside. By the time she returns, Derek has already pulled Alma back onto the boat. Rose wraps the blanket around her mother. Thankfully, Alma is not seriously hurt, but she apologizes to Rose and says that her phone fell into the ocean during the accident. At that moment, they notice that the weather is getting much worse. Dark clouds gather over the sea, and the wind becomes stronger, so all three of them go down into the cabin. Nervously, Alma admits that she has never traveled this far into the ocean before. She suggests that because the weather is turning bad, they should go back home. But Derek calmly reassures them, saying there is nothing to worry about and that the storm will pass by morning. The next morning, Rose comes up to the deck and sees that the weather is completely clear again. Her mother is already sitting outside, relaxed and drinking. Rose sits beside her and quietly tells her that she is not happy there at all, and that she wants to go back home. Alma tries to calm Rose down and tells her just how beautiful this place is. She says they should stop worrying and enjoy the moment. A little later, Derek walks over and joins them. Rose asks him about the rifle, and Derek explains that he keeps it for safety, but it is also something he enjoys as a hobby. Rose says she wants to try firing the rifle herself at least once. Derek takes it out and teaches her how to use it. To his surprise, Rose is a natural. She fires with impressive accuracy, and Derek can't stop praising her. In the next scene, Rose is looking at her laptop when she notices another boat not far away, heading straight toward them. She steps outside and tries to get a better look through binoculars. Meanwhile, Derek and Alma are having drinks and call Rose over to join them. She sits down with them, but within moments she suddenly becomes extremely dizzy. Feeling weak, she goes to her room and falls asleep. A while later, she wakes up after hearing strange noises outside. She looks out and realizes that the other boat is now incredibly close. In fact, it crashes directly into their boat. Two men step out of the boat and immediately point a gun at Derek. They demand that he return something to them. Derek pretends he has no idea what they are talking about. Alma becomes terrified and screams, begging them to leave them alone. But one of the men attacks Alma and injures her. At that moment, we realize that this is the same man we saw earlier talking with Alma at the beginning of the trip. The others are calling him Captain. Watching all of this, Rose is frozen with fear. When Alma notices Rose hiding nearby, she silently signals her to stay hidden. Derek keeps insisting that he has no idea what they want. Then the captain suddenly opens fire. Derek is shot in the shoulder and falls into the water. After that, the captain and his partner search the cabin, but when they fail to find what they came for, they set the boat on fire and leave. Once they are gone, Rose comes out of hiding and desperately tries to put out the flames with a fire extinguisher. That is when she sees her mother's dead body. The sight completely shatters her. The next morning, Rose is alone in the middle of the ocean. The fire has badly damaged the boat, and the engine is no longer working. She tries to repair it, but nothing helps. She wraps her mother's body in a cloth, hoping she can take her back and give her a proper burial. Crying uncontrollably, she mourns her mother. Afterwards, she attempts to call for help, but almost all of the boat's equipment has been destroyed by the fire. Then she hears a faint sound coming from the water. She rushes outside and sees Derek still in the ocean, tied to a rope. And somehow, he's still alive. Rose pulls him up onto the deck, gives him water, and treats his injuries. While searching around the boat, she finds a strange device. She shows it to Derek and asks what it is. Derek lies and tells her it is just a spare jib that is already broken. In reality, the device could have been used to send an emergency signal all the way to sunlight. Instead, Derek tells her to forget about it and attach a sail to the top of the boat so they can keep moving. Rose struggles with the sail for a long time, trying again and again, but eventually she manages to secure it. The next day, Derek calls for her. Rose goes over and changes the bandages on his wound. Derek tells her that no matter what, she has to get the boat running. Right after saying that, he passes out. Rose tries everything she can to start the engine, but nothing works. Exhausted, she sits down inside the cabin. While resting, she notices a few photographs. In the pictures, Derek is standing with the same two men who attacked the boat. The moment she sees those photos, she realizes Derek has been lying to her. She goes back outside and, while Derek is still unconscious, ties his hands to the boat and takes away his safety knife. But sometime later, Derek is suddenly gone. Rose starts searching for him and eventually finds him below deck. Holding the knife in her hand, she asks, "You knew who those men were, didn't you? Then why did you lie to me?" Derek calmly replies, "They're monsters. The less you know about them, the better." The expression on his face makes it clear that he is not frightened at all, and he does not seem to feel any sadness over Alma's death either. Using his words carefully, Derek keeps Rose distracted and convinces her to help him repair the boat. Rose has no other option, so the two of them work together on the engine. But it is completely ruined. Now they have only the sea wind to rely on, and for the next 2 days they drift forward using that small sail. On the morning of the third day, Rose steps outside and notices an island in the distance. Derek is asleep in a corner, so without even asking him, she turns the boat toward the island. But with only a small sail, the boat cannot reach the shore. To get there, they decide to use a raft. Derek agrees to go, but with only one usable hand, he cannot row properly. So Rose takes the oars and begins rowing them toward the island. Then suddenly, part of the oar slips out of her hand. As she reaches for it, she loses her balance and falls into the water. And the worst part is, Rose cannot swim. She begins to drown. Just then, Derek jumps into the water himself and pulls Rose back to the shore. But she isn't breathing, so he performs CPR and manages to bring her back to consciousness. As soon as she wakes up, Rose starts looking for Derek and walks into a nearby cave where he has already found some drinking water. He tells her to drink as well. The island is completely deserted, and Rose says they have to find some way to get back home. Derek assures her that they will, but night is approaching fast, so they will have to spend the night there. Together, they drag the raft onto the shore. After dark, Rose lies down to sleep on the raft while Derek builds a fire outside. But Rose can't fall asleep, so she sits beside him, and the two begin talking. Rose reveals that her father was a soldier who was killed in Iraq while serving on duty. Then Derek tells his own story, and this is where his true identity is finally exposed. He says, "I used to be a good and honest police officer, but after 10 years of serving honestly, I had nothing to show for it. My wife saw me as a failure and left me. After that, I chose the path of corruption and made a lot of money working with dangerous people. He continues, the captain was one of those men. And the people who killed your mother were not the captain himself, but his men. The captain is a very dangerous man who traffics beautiful girls like you. I tried to outsmart him and stole something very valuable from him. That's what his men came to retrieve that night, and because of that, your mother was killed. I know she was a good woman, but I had only known her for a few months. Then Derek says, you made a mistake when you tied that knot in my hand. Pretending to teach her how to tie it correctly, he suddenly grabs Rose's hand and ties it up. At that moment, Rose notices a device inside the bag beside him. She asks, you told me it was broken. Then why are you keeping it with you? Derek replies, this device can send an emergency signal to the Coast Guard and reveal our location. We could get off this island, but I didn't activate it because first I had to finish you. The second he says that, Rose realizes the truth. She punches him, snatches the gun from the bag and points it at him, ordering him to activate the device. When he refuses, she pulls the trigger, but the gun doesn't fire because Derek has the magazine. He immediately attacks her, and a violent struggle begins. Rose somehow breaks free and starts running. Derek reloads the gun and fires at her repeatedly, but none of the bullets hit her. Hiding behind cover, Rose manages to untie the rope around her hands. The next morning, Derek is still searching for her. Rose's plan is to escape using the raft, so she quietly moves toward it. But Derek spots her and starts shooting from above. Even then, she keeps running with all her strength. Suddenly, Derek loses his footing and falls from the rocks. Rose stops and rushes over to see if he is dead. He is still alive, but badly injured. The moment she gets close, he regains consciousness and, despite his injuries, attacks her with a knife. He tells her, take me to the boat. I have the device, and without me, you won't be able to activate it. During the struggle, one of the knife strikes lands on Rose. Rose picks up a rock and smashes it into Derek's head, then grabs the device from his bag. She tries to activate it, but nothing happens. Derek tells her, you'll never get it working. Take me back to the boat and then I'll help you. But Rose refuses to trust him. She leaves him behind and returns to the boat on the raft. Once she gets back on board, she wraps bandages around her wounds and eventually falls asleep. In the middle of the night, she suddenly wakes up and realizes the boat is starting to sink. She quickly gathers the most important supplies and tries to carry her mother's body onto the raft as well. But the body slips from her hands into the ocean, and she is forced to leave her mother behind. That moment completely breaks her. She bursts into tears. Knowing the boat is about to go under, Rose cuts the rope connecting the raft to the sinking vessel. For the next 2 days, she drifted alone across the open sea. On the third day, she spots another boat and fires a flare gun. She assumes they didn't see it because of the bright sunlight. But later that night, the same boat returns and rescues her, taking her aboard a much larger ship. Rose notices that everyone on the ship is armed, and the crew keeps talking about the captain. She immediately realizes these men belong to the captain and that this ship is his operation. However, she stays calm and follows them without drawing attention to herself. They give her food, and during the meal, a drunk girl named Tabitha stumbles into the room. One of the men quickly drags her away. Rose understands that Tabitha is being held against her will, and there may be many other girls trapped on this ship. Derek had already warned her that the captain was involved in smuggling. Rose asks if she can take a shower, and they give her a room. She has figured out that if this ship is being used for smuggling, the captain must be somewhere on board. After getting cleaned up, she walks toward another room. Inside, she sees a man surrounded by several others. "Are you the captain?" she asks. He smiles and says, "Yes." Rose begins talking to him, acting friendly and attractive. Then, the moment she gets close enough, she attacks him and brutally beats him to death. She leaves the room and enters another one, where she finds Tabitha, who begs for help. When the captain's men discover his body, they go on high alert and start searching the ship for Rose. She asks Tabitha where the guns are kept. Tabitha tells her there are many weapons in the engine room, and that numerous girls like her are being transported as prisoners. But no one can help you, Tabitha says. They're all drugged. Rose reaches the engine room and grabs a gun. A man walks in, and she immediately shoots him dead. Then she moves through the ship, fighting her way toward the imprisoned girls and taking down the captain's men one by one. She even encounters a woman who had been working for the captain, and Rose kills her too. Soon, a huge muscular man grabs Rose by the throat, but she manages to break free and shoots him as well. Rose opens a door and is horrified to find very young girls locked inside. Before she can free them, another of the captain's men appears and points a gun at her. Suddenly, Tabitha comes up behind him and strikes him on the head. Rose grabs his gun and shoots him. Leaving Tabitha with the girls, Rose heads for the radio room to send a distress signal. But she comes face to face with Derek. Rose is stunned. "You were supposed to be dead on the island." Derek reveals the truth. He made a deal with the captain, gave him information about Rose, and escaped using the device. Then he starts beating her and admits that this had been his plan from the beginning. "And now," he says, "no one can save you from the captain." Rose suddenly laughs. "I already killed your captain." Hearing that, Derek explodes with rage, punches her, and throws her down the stairs. He grabs a gun and comes back, only to discover that Rose has disappeared. Following the trail of blood, he searches for her through the ship. To the moment he reaches one section, Rose releases a chemical onto him, causing him to collapse. She pulls out the same knife Derek once gave her and drives it straight into his chest, killing him for good. Now completely exhausted, Rose realizes that all of the captain's men are dead. Just then, Tabitha appears and takes her to the upper deck. Rose steps outside with the girls and sees the ship moving toward a harbor. For the first time, everyone smiles. The girls are overjoyed because they know they are finally going home. When the ship reaches the port, the police take control of the situation. And with that, the story comes to an end. So, friends, how did you like this story? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more horror and survival movie recaps like this.